Hi, everyone. I'm Delila, and I'm here to welcome you to the Wise Communications interview audio series. To succeed, every company must discover their core reasons for existing. You can call it a mission statement or a meaningful purpose, but when a business knows why they care, everyone's job feels less depleting and more fulfilling. When we get really clear about the why of our work, there's one huge benefit we receive, and it's this. We become less prone to chasing formulas for success. Instead, we're able to come alive no matter what we're doing. Maybe you're not in your forever or favorite position at work, or maybe you've launched the business of your dreams and it's not as great as you hoped. My question is this: if things aren't going the way you want in your professional life, is it because you're not doing it right? Or is it because you've adopted a formula for success that just isn't right for you? My guest today is a personal friend, Erin Donley. That's why we're getting special access to her private process for building her career. Erin has been a radio sales executive, a personal growth columnist, a television show host, a marketing consultant. Today she's a leadership and communications trainer and a writer for Huffington Post. What I know about Erin is that she gets annoyed with superficial conversation, and she truly detests shot-in-the-arm inspiration. We have this in common. Erin likes getting to the core of an issue so that deeper truths can be shared and real conversations and resolutions can occur. So today I'm asking Erin to reveal what's real about the trajectory of her career, particularly in the last 18 months. I know her experience will shed light into questions we've posed about how to achieve our missions in a way that feeds our hearts and also supports our financial needs. Erin, thank you so much for being here. And for those who are hearing about you for the first time, please be sure to tell us how to scope out your website while we're chatting here.
Is erindonley.com. So that's ERINDONLEY.com.
Perfect. Thank you. Now, again, being your friend, Erin, I know that one of your all-time favorite questions is one that might make some people uncomfortable. In fact, it made me uncomfortable at first, but I love it because it points directly to our why. You love to ask people, what's too painful for you to be around, or what are the things in your life for which you have zero tolerance? So I'm asking you that question now, Erin. In fact, tell us, would you, what is that thing for you, and how has it led you to discover your own why?
I love that we're starting at that point. Yeah, I do love that question. Gosh, you know, I think that my first memory of feeling that way, that like really irritable, those really irritable moments, my first memory happened in first grade where I was standing in line for school picture day. And this photographer was like trying to make all the kids happy so they would smile, and particularly the girls. You know, he was doing this sort of like silly little talk, and you know, and like, oh, and look at your pretty hair, and oh, aren't you nice? And, you know, love your red sweater. And he was calling each girl princess. All right, princess. And as I'm in line, I was getting so aggravated with this guy, and all I could think about was like, he better not talk to me that way. And because, you know, I wanted to differentiate myself. Even back then, I wanted to stand out. I wanted to be taken seriously. I didn't want to be sort of like manipulated or talked to in this like nicey nice little girl way. And so I was getting so upset in line. And when I finally stepped up, when it was my turn, you know, I was wearing this, like, you know, power red turtleneck and gray wool blazer and Argyle socks. And, you know, and I just gave this guy, like, you know, blank stare. And he just stopped, and he started laughing, and he lowered his voice significantly, and he said, "Well, hello, Nancy Reagan." And I was so proud in that moment that he saw me as someone different, and he didn't try to play that game with me. And so, you know, this thing about, like, what is too painful for me to be around, I think I experienced it first in that, you know, in line, anticipating it. But then when it shows up now in my adult life, it's kind of like in moments of, like particularly in business, like networking groups where everyone's kind of being nicey nice and fake compliments and superficial dialogue about the weather, and, or like in spiritual groups where everyone's all love, light, inspiration, and I want to talk about shame and jealousy and anger and pressure, and, and even just in the business world on the whole, where we're really careful about how we present ourselves to the point where we're kind of losing our individual voices and we're politically correcting ourselves to death. And so, my why has largely been formed from moments of feeling really irritated and wanting to change people and situations, and from wanting to stand out, because I just believe that, that deep discussions, particularly ones that are, intense or provocative or even uncomfortable, like they have the power to build trust and bonding, and more than anything, it's just like, resolutions occur from these things. And so, my career trajectory has kind of been all over the map, but there has been a core mission in each of the things that I have done around being the one to facilitate these conversations and do it in a way that's safe and effective.
Yeah, Erin, I've had the pleasure of knowing you for enough years now that I've been able to witness some of your projects. I've been able to have the pleasure of working closely with you and having your support with some of my projects. And, having been around during the Reveal What's Real phase, that fantastic television show you hosted where so much of the focus was about going deeper in conversation, getting people to kind of reveal the deeper truth. And I think that why that show resonated so deeply for me and so many other people is that, I learned from you this phrase, character trumps credentials. And that this to me speaks a lot about who you are, because it really comes down to, am I going to be the authentic person I am and be able to kind of speak out about what matters to me, or am I going to kind of toe the party line and try to fit into the corporate structure, or even just, how well can I perfect some kind of system that somebody else told me will result in my success? And I think any of us who have been in business for ourselves and have been at it for any period of time have, adopted these various systems, right? I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this for 30 days, or, whatever it is. But I think if it's somebody else's great idea, it doesn't necessarily apply to your business, right? It doesn't necessarily reflect your character or values or even what's important to you.
Yeah, and so for those who don't know, Reveal What's Real was a show that a talk show that I created in Portland, and it ran on Portland Community Access, and all the shows can be seen at revealwhatsreal.com. And what I wanted to say about that, Delila, is that this was sort of like a dream project for me. I had always wanted to kind of be like Oprah, in the way that, Oprah ripped open the curtain on a lot of stuff that hadn't been talked about. And, and I got sick of sort of like waiting to be discovered by Oprah or trying to do something to appease the Oprah god. So I said, that's it. I'm going to start my own talk show. And it was a ton of work. And I did it for almost 3 years. And it was just, it was like the most satisfying thing I think I've ever done, and it was fulfilling this, incredible mission. But in that was a tremendous amount of frustration and disappointment. I lost like camera crew. I had to fire my producer like a month after the show started. But more than that, I had to reach a point where I realized that, like, it just wasn't sustainable for me to continue doing the show financially. I'd done everything I could to find sponsors and grow the audience enough that I could maybe run ads. And, so it was sort of like the horse was dying, and eventually I just had to get off. And, so, like, even in those moments of like I was going for my dream, it was going well, I had to sort of realize that, okay, this vehicle for achieving this mission has run its course. And it doesn't mean I failed. Maybe this thing will be, beneficial down the line for me, but I need to find another way to do this to support myself. And more really to support the mission, because I could only, I couldn't make the money I wanted doing it. So, I hope that that's something that, people will take away from this conversation too, that, our missions can look many different ways. And I think knowing when it's financially run its course or energetically run its course is really important, and knowing when to move ahead.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you bring that up, because that's such a key point, I think. Going back to what I said in the introduction, just about it might not be the forever thing, but it seems like in the context of, companies and individual business owners, and it can be easy to kind of feel like the walls are caving in and things are falling apart because it's not all maybe going well at that moment. But I think what I hear you saying, though, is that, your why, the thing that gets you up in the morning and doing what you do, is your lifeline. So the circumstances might change, the company might change, the method of outreach might change, but your why is the constant, right, in the middle of all of it. It's the thing that keeps you coming back to what's really at stake. Why is it that you want to be this authentic and this honest and this, open in your dialogue and in your communication? Would that be...
You've gone through this too, and
yeah.
The power of telling a great story, in terms of how that works in marketing, and so when you've come across clients who wanted to stay superficial or wanted to follow old models and they were trying to force you to do things in a cookie cutter way, letting go of those clients was hard financially, but you always did it with a sense of faith, knowing that, if I can't do the work that I know is true, this isn't going to be good for either one of us.